Hi, I wanted to try something a little different today and get down to some real talk about entrepreneurship and innovation and the struggles that we feel emotionally that sometimes keep us from greatness. Now, I'm just finishing up one project with a wonderful client and starting a new one. And the topic I'm going to talk to you about today plays a front and center role in the difference between an almost there project and a major hit. So let's have a seat, and I'm going to tell you about what it takes to embrace the power of being wrong. So, I was a good student in school. I like doing well on tests. I like getting the right answer, and I love learning. But those qualities made it harder for me as a product designer to truly embrace being wrong. And it turns out that that's the secret to successful innovation. There's this paradoxical combo of qualities that I see in the most successful product leaders I've worked with, which is strong vision paired with a great hunger for market feedback and truth. And it's that combo, that pressure and tension, that hones the diamond of success. So if, like me, you enjoy doing well on tests, you're a good student, and you like being right, I want to help you celebrate the great power of being wrong because it's going to make you more successful. Now, I really like school. I went full on into embracing the scientific method. I got a PhD in behavioral neuroscience. And in grad school, I had a pivotal experience that really drove home the power of the scientific method and showed me that tension between vision and data. I was working for this brilliant PhD MD researcher with a corporate sponsor, and we were looking over the data, and he told me to throw out a bunch of outliers that didn't conform to what our sponsoring organization wanted to see. Now, without those outliers, we got a curve that was maybe a 30% slope, and that was within the range they wanted to see. With the outliers, which frankly didn't look like outliers to me, our curve was more like 45 or even 50%, which was outside of the range and cause for concern. Now, my boss decided to do the thing with looking at the data and seeing what he wanted to see, in particular, what his funding source wanted to see. But I knew that that wasn't good science. That really stuck with me, and I took it to heart. Now, in the world of product design and game design, where I live and where you live, we call this testing your assumptions. And the secret to testing your assumptions smarter is to never just start with one idea or be too beholden to your solution, but to have several different ideas or ways you could approach a situation and then have them duke it out to get resources through market validation and customer testing. Now, this is basically the stage gate approach, and I'll link to that below and at the end so you can read more about stage gate theory if you already don't know. But when you run experiments using this model where you're not too attached to particular solutions, you're setting up incentives that really work with our emotions, our deep human nature. And that's really the genius of stage gate theory and lean startup and game thinking, which is you don't get too attached to any one idea, and therefore you're open to seeing the truth. Now, as a product leader, as somebody who above all wants results, you need to replace any fear you have of being wrong with a burning curiosity to learn what's right and bring that attitude to your team. When you need to be right and you run experiments needing to be right, you're fundamentally driven by fear. What if I'm wrong? What if we wasted a lot of money for 6 months building this? What if we never get to product market fit? It's all driven by fear. But when you're running your experiments driven by curiosity, you ask, what's going to happen? I'm not sure. I might be right. I might be wrong. It might be an adjacent idea. We might pivot, but the market's going to tell us. Now, when you're in this mental state, you're open to possibilities and you're looking for and seeing the patterns that are actually there, rather than clinging to a belief that may or may not be true, like my boss back in grad school. Now, a great example of this in action is what happened with my client Replica. That brilliant CEO and her team had spent a couple of years building MVP after MVP, only to find out those directions didn't work, and then trying again and feeling exhausted and frustrated by that whole experience. Then, when they got game thinking techniques and put them into place, they were able to run experiments in a week or two rather than needing months. And the best part came when the CEO told me that she ran an experiment that had a clear hypothesis and then found out they weren't right. And it took a week, and she was exhilarated instead of frustrated and exhausted because she knew what she was testing, figured it out quickly and cheaply, and actually saved herself and her whole team from going down yet another rabbit hole. So both emotionally and operationally, I just want you to understand that it's so much easier to be wrong and embrace that and learn fast when your experiments take a week rather than months. And that's such an important lesson for product leaders to learn about fidelity in play testing. If you invest too much time and too much polish in something up front, your human nature drives you to naturally be more attached to it. And that's going to make it harder and more painful to iterate and harder for you to see the truth. So if you want to be a great product leader, you need to lean into that tension between vision and data. Embrace it. Don't back away from having a strong vision. That's not what this means. I want you to use all your smarts, all your market understanding, all the competitive analysis you can to craft a strong vision. But once you've done that, treat it as a hypothesis. Listen to what the market tells you and be willing to iterate and learn. That's where the magic happens. That's the tension that's going to help you shape your vision and iterate towards success. I've seen it again and again and again, and I know that you can do that too. The best way to make magic happen is to eagerly go out and find what's wrong with your idea just as much as what's right with it. I hope this is just what you needed to hear today. Now go out and make some magic. We're here every week, so if you like this video, subscribe now so you never miss a thing. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.